Today we're in 1 Corinthians 9, and Paul is talking about how he has the right to collect money from these churches that he's planted, because he says, who serves as a soldier at his own expense? Who plants a vineyard without eating of its fruits? And then he talks about how the Bible says this specifically in the Old Testament. He says, you shall not muzzle an ox as it treads the grain. So Paul has planted these churches. He has watered them. He's helped them see, spiritual fruit. And he's saying he has the right to take just material fruit from his harvest. And he was saying that was written for our sake, not the ox's sake. So he's saying this is written for you guys, not me, because the plowman should plow in hope of sharing the harvest. So he's saying if you don't give generously, it's saying that you don't have hope. You don't have faith in God. But then he goes on to say, nevertheless, I've not made use of this right. So even though that is the case, Paul was not taking money from the churches. He was funding his own gospel sharing mission on his own. And he does this because we endure anything rather than to put an obstacle in the way of the gospel of Christ. For I would rather die than deprive me of my ground for boasting. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel. And he says, I became all things to all people, that by all means I might save some. I do it all for the sake of the gospel. And so this is just a really humbling passage, because he's saying that, I have the right to collect tithes from these churches that I've planted. I went out and did that work as the worker of the gospel. He has the right to eat some of his fruits. But he's saying he doesn't, just so that he goes so far above reproach, just so that anyone, so no one can have any reason not to see what he's saying as truth. So he's like, there might be some people who would say, oh, he's just doing it for the money. But since he doesn't take money, they can't say that. So, yeah. And it sounds very specific, oh, well, I'm not a missionary. I'm not planting churches. I don't have this issue. But it goes with anything in life, guys. I think, especially with running a business. There are some things that make sense business-wise that we don't do as a business, because we want to be above reproach. We don't want anyone to think that we're just doing this for the money. And so, yes, that is part of the whole goal of business, is to make money. But our number one goal is to, one, tell people about God through this, through serving, through helping people. And then two, to serve people, help them make money. And so it's not about whatever makes the most top line for the business. A good example is we were gonna run ads. We were just gonna rush out some ads to test, but I don't know. I told them, I was let's just wait. Let's push it back. Let's really make sure that the product is exceptional and people are getting amazing, consistent results. And then let's spend time actually making the ads valuable. I don't want to just run ads. I don't know. I know you're supposed to test ads, but if we're gonna run ads, I want to put our heart and soul into them, at least for the first try, and make it just on brand. I want our ads to be valuable as well. I want everything we do to be valuable for people. But going back to this, Paul is saying I do it all for the sake of the gospel. And he says, run that you may obtain the prize. So every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to obtain a perishable wreath. We do it for the imperishable. So he's saying if they discipline their bodies, if they go through all this pain they put themselves through just to get a wreath that dies within the year, how much more should we discipline ourselves for the kingdom, the eternal prize? So yeah, he says, I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. So I think it's a really good passage just about why we do this and how sometimes we have the right to do things and it wouldn't be sinful to do them, but sometimes we should just go above and beyond and just to help people. And it all comes back to the core message of this, which is that love builds up and love comes first. If we do everything out of love, we'll make the right decisions. So, yeah, pretty cool.